To get your mixes to sound tight and punchy in the low end, there's no magic, there's no formula, but there's a process. The reason I'm making today's video is because I was in the mixing phase of one of my tracks, a remix I'm doing right now, and well, I had some issues in the lows and I went through that whole process and I want to share this with you. So we're gonna go from this to this. First of all, the kick and the bass were already more or less mixed together, but I had some issues. And the main issues are clashing of frequencies, too long decays on some sounds, or clashing subs that mess with each other, and phase issues between the kick and the bass. So first things first, I was listening to my bass line. And here already you have this kind of lingering tone that is static and that is actually killing some energy because we want contrast. You like thickness, you like density, but we also need some movement. So the first step in the process was to add an EQ, this one, that was actually rolling off some subs. This is not something I advise doing every time, it just was in this case scenario helping. The bass was first sounding like this. Then I rolled some subs. Sorry, I rolled out some subs. Feel already how the punch is coming back here. This is making the bass move a little bit more. Don't worry. Some might start to think, yeah, but these low-cut filters are making phase shifts and it's messing with the kick. We're going to check that later on. First, let's address what is important to get the sound right. Second thing I had here is that I wanted to increase a bit the contrast of the impacts because this was a remix, so there was already this kind of delay sound on it, and I wanted to push more of the temp. So I went for a small band at the root note of my bass, and what I did here was to reduce the gain of the band. Might sound weird, right? But what I did in fact is, while reducing it statically, I cranked it up dynamically with a very short attack time and a pretty short release. So the idea is every time that frequency is hitting, the band will pop out, and so I'm increasing dynamic and contrast. Let's play it before and after. Feel it's adding some temp to that bass, some body. Then there was also that lingering resonance that was playing here. I'm going to play it in solo. And this I like to make the bass deeper and also more dynamic. We don't have the that resonance playing all the time. Again, before solo, so you pay attention to that frequency range, right? So the whole EQ before and after, we feel the difference in the punch without. Much better already. We have a tight bass line, we have something that is dense, compact and deep. Then I had another problem with this bass line linked to the delays, is I guess the artist put a delay on it without filtering the lows on the delay, and I had some hard pannings with the ping pong delays. This was, for one, a bit weird because I felt too much width in the lows, and it was also messing a bit with the correlation in the sub. I can show you maybe here with this tool. Look at this. This is showing that we have below, in the lows here, below, this is like 80 Hertz, the whole part here, we have a little bit of low end uncorrelation. It's it's not that bad. It's not that bad, but it's a little. And also the width is pretty strong. So what I did is go for my trusty bass lane. And with bass lane, I reduced the width and tightened up the bass line. Listen to this on headphones or on proper sound system with a proper stereo image, right? Without and with. So I like that. This is already tightening a lot the bass. Without the whole chain. Lingering, wide, no punch, no contrast. Adding movement, adding contrast. Great. But that's not all. I went for Pro Q4, and here also I wanted to increase a bit the focus. So I went for a gentle roll off of the sides with higher frequency. I pushed a bit the first harmonic of the bass. Let's remove this for the moment as well. And this one is not in use, so I can. Yeah, let's remove that one as well. So for the sub part without the Pro Q4, and this is all in linear phase mode to avoid changes. And this I really liked, fat, thick and dense. Let's go back to the metering. Now we see this is clean. And let's check the difference that happens in the lows and in the correlation while shifting Pro Q4 from linear phase to zero latency. You see, there's a little difference here. It's not that big, but it's playing some role in the punch. Okay, this is great. Okay, let's listen now to what happens when I'm adding the kick to the bass. I'm playing the bass first. Boo! Again, there's some piling up of energy in that low range that is blurring things. And not only that, but I want to check the correlation between the kick and the bass. So I went for oscilloscope from Bom Shankar machines, feeding the kick as sidechain input, and let's you shouldn't pay attention to the transients because the kick is decaying in energy and in pitch. So the beginning of a kick is never the part you need to watch, but you need to look at the tail of the kick when there is the sustained of the bass, how this works with the bass line. This is the impact of the kick. I don't pay that much attention, but here is the tail, or I can check in that view. This is not important, and then we have this part of the kick. That's the attack, and here we have the decay, and here we need to pay attention how this works with the bass. And it's not that bad at all, not that bad at all. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom into this waveform, and while adjusting some EQs, I'm going to pay attention to what's happening in here. So I said I heard two things, two kind of small resonances in the bass line. This one and that one. And those two notes are lingering a bit in the kick and are clashing with the bass. When I remove the kick, the bass is deep, right? So let's now bring in those two bands, those two little dips. Without and with. And we see the phase is very nice. This track didn't need to have phase adjustments, so this is great, but it's always good to check how the tails of your bass and the kick are working together. So adding movement to the bass, removing some clashing frequencies, checking the correlation for proper mono compatibility, and checking the phase relationship with an oscilloscope between the kick and the bass, and you get your kick and your bass sound tight together. Don't trust anyone telling you to do things with absolute numbers, because they aren't. But what matters is understanding the underlying principles and doing every move with a specific intention. And I hope you got here a sneak peek on one approach or one way to deal with things. What I'm trying to explain here is my thought of process, what I try to achieve, what are the intentions, and then how could I use my tools in order to get to the desired goal. I hope it was helpful. I hope it will help you to push your music to new heights. If you like this content, leave a little like, leave me some comments, subscribe to the channel, and see you soon for more. Take care. Bye bye.